This week on the season finale of The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
This is your character.
You don't even know me.
I know the moves you play, and the level that you're playing at is kind of low right now. Because I trusted you and I liked you. But when
I liked you too. But
no, you're
accusing me of something with no proof.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to We're going to be talking about The Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 17, the finale. Let's get right into it. Back. My, you guys, do we have a lot to talk about? Now, this was a finale, okay? A finale worth waiting for. So let's get right into this. So we begin this episode with Porsha and her sister Lauren going to Miss Phaedra's house. As we found out last episode, Porsha's cousin Londi died, which is very sad. Londi was full of life. She's very young. I'm not exactly sure what the cause of her death was, but nevertheless, it's still very sad. Both Lauren and Porsha seem to be very upset, but this was very tragic also because Lauren says that she was on the phone with Londi when Londi actually died. That's horrible. I hope that she can heal from that, because that's certainly a lot for somebody to carry. Porsha says that this is a lot. They've asked Phaedra to help them with the funeral arrangements, which is a good idea. Phaedra killed me, though, saying that she's the usher to heaven. Only Phaedra. Porsha tells Phaedra that the girls have reached out, and, Porsha realizes that this year was nothing like she intended. She got the short end of the stick in all senses, and it just wasn't her year. I hope that she has a new beginning, though, because it definitely was very tough with all this happening. Lauren also mentioned that Londi loved butterflies, and Phaedra suggests releasing some butterflies at the service. And here go Porsha asking, do they come back to the owner? Phaedra's like, no, they're trained butterflies. There's no trained butterflies. So, moving along, we then see Angela go to her therapist. Dr. Wendy is her name. Angela says that Wendy has helped with her and Charles's marriage, and they've gone to see her for quite a bit now. So here in this session, Angela opens up about the enormous stress and strain that these homes that she's bought have caused. She spent so much money, she's in debt, and the bad part is that they keep lowering the price to sell them, and she keeps asking Charles for money, so it's a lot. She does tell Dr. Wendy that she's finally come to a point where she actually trusts Charles. It's taken a long time for her to trust him after everything they've gone through, but that brings her to her next point, and she starts to tell us, the therapist, all the tea on this individual who was at the event last week saying that Charles is cheating on her. But you know what? My heart really did go out for Angela in this scene, and she says, why would anyone send him out to hurt me, especially knowing how much she's hurt from her marriage. I just wanted to give her a hug in this scene. She sounded very defeated. I did feel really bad for her, but she does want to let it be known that she's not going to allow Charles to be an easy target, and she says they're going to learn to leave me alone. Moving on, Shamia has invited the women to showcase her music, as well as some executives and other entertainers. I love to see Gerald, her husband, he was there to support her. So were her parents, her mom and dad. Again, a bunch of friends. It was like I guess you could say sort of like a theater type of place. Also, I didn't like the shade that Drew came in here throwing, saying, as the registered singer of the group, I'm here to give my constructive criticism. And she started shade. Maybe she's just before my generation. I never heard of Drew being a singer until now, and her being on the show. I knew she was an actress. She does sing good, though. I don't want to take that away from her, but she did come in with the shade. This is the first time Britt and Kelli are seeing each other ever since that big explosive fight. Obviously, they didn't talk or say anything. But Shamia comes out. She does her thing. She had several songs, several outfit changes, different performances. I mean, this show was like a concert with background singers and dancers, choreography. The one thing that I really do like about Shamia when she's doing this is that I can see her passion. You can feel that she loves to sing and perform and do all this stuff. So after the show, they go backstage. Angela invites them all to her gala. The Charles Oakley Foundation has been working for 8 years, helping underserved communities. That's amazing. That's one thing I always respected about Candy, for example, always giving back to the community. So Kelli says, yes, let us know what we can do to help, even if it means like posting information on social media. So then Drew asks her, how many followers do you have? Kelli says 150K. And Britt, she just can't help herself. So she says, yeah, those fake followers. She got 80,000 new followers in one day. And then Kelli says, oh, sounds like someone has been stalking me. And Britt says, well, yeah, we were really good friends at one point. So yeah, I did see. So Kelli says, are you in competition? And then she starts saying, Angela, you might want to let us know how much we should give, because we know some people don't like to give. So I will say, in this situation, Britt, you should have been the bigger person and just not have said anything and just paid Kelli dust. Because you did walk right into that one. You shouldn't have said anything. Just leave it alone. Also, I do have to say, Porsha did not attend this event. Could it have been because she's mad at Shamia? I don't know, maybe. But, she did just lose her cousin. I don't think she might want to go to a concert a few days later. So I totally get it. All right, so in regards to Porsha and Shamia, before the show, Miss Cynthia actually told Shamia that the other day while they were at Britt's house, Britt told Porsha that Shamia had showed her messages of Porsha and her's conversation. So now here, Cynthia has left at this point. It's now just Shamia and Britt. Shamia brings this up to Britt, and Shamia is denying it. She claims that Britt is lying. She says, you are lying. I don't know why you feel the need to lie. The thing is, though, I do think it's true. I'll tell you why I think it's true. Because, first of all, I do think that Shamia... I don't think Angela, Drew, and Britt are all three lying, saying that Shamia was talking bad about Porsha. You definitely were talking bad about Porsha, Shamia, so that's not a lie. That's number one. Number two, the fact that Britt was able to tell Porsha what those messages entailed, you can't just make that up out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Shamia definitely was showing some stuff around. I don't know why Cynthia wanted to be the bone carrier and say this to Shamia, but she did. But nevertheless, here is Shamia now upset at Britt. So she says to Britt, I feel like this is coming from a place of jealousy because now I'm the one that's friends with Kelli. And then Shamia starts just randomly saying, I can see now why you can't take shots, because every time, last time you took shots, you got butt naked. I'm glad you're wearing your clothes today. So, at this point she's been poked at. So Britt responds and says, yeah, I did get naked. So did you go see your daughter when you got to Miami? Because you did all that crying in Bermuda, but when you got to Miami with Kelli, you were popping shots with her. Shamia then says, well, at least I'm popping shots and I'm not popping pills like you. So they start to go back and forth. They start throwing these crazy accusations towards one another. Shamia is walking away, but she's saying to Britt, you're a lady of the night. You do this, you do that. So then Britt says, let's talk about you sleeping around while you being married, Shamia. Ooh, this was intense. Listen, I gotta say this. I think Britt ate Shamia up, and that is why Shamia left. But I want to say, I remember towards the beginning of the season, when the episodes were they had just begun airing, Shamia had done an interview saying that she would never be friends with Britt again because Britt talked bad about her child. I remember a lot of fans at the time, they already didn't like Britt, so hearing this, they came and attacked her, and how dare she, blah, 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 blah. I had been waiting for this moment because I wanted to see, what did Britt say? Because when you talk about a child, that is very low and, not okay. But now we see that Shamia misrepresented that entire situation. Britt never talked about Shamia's child. Shamia is a liar. She talked about her parenting, which is very much different. And listen, if you're going to be taking shots, calling me a prostitute, saying I'm a lady of the night, I pop pills, then is it low? Absolutely. But to say, why were you in Miami right after our trip taking shots? Weren't you? Yes, it is low, but it is what it is. I think the lowest part was when she actually said, were you faking all of that? That was, that was going very low. But nevertheless, like I said, that's my opinion, and I ain't changing it. So it's a new day. We see Drew getting ready. Ralph calls her asking, "Do I have permission to go upstairs?" I can't. Britt and Mike go look at a private jet. And you see, Britt, don't do that. You don't have to be doing all this pretending. And then we see Kelli at home with her kids. They're cooking breakfast. I gotta say, when I see Kelli have these personal scenes of her and her family, her talking about her marriage, her talking about her business, I actually really like her. It's when she gets with the group that I don't like her at all, and she becomes very unlikable because she starts being like a sidekick and doing the most. But in this scene, they were talking specifically about this new location that Kelli is trying to open. Then moving right along, we see Drew and Ralph again. Ralph is playing the piano. That's cool. I didn't know he knew how to play. The kids are in Chicago with Drew's mom, so it's just both of them in the house. Ralph says, we need to talk about how did we get here? Where do we go from here? He's upset about the way the judge set up his visitation with the kids, but Drew says you can still ask if you want to be with them. I'm not going to deny that. You are their father. This seemed very good. They were very respectful of one another. They even high-fived at the end. So yeah, it's with them, it's either really, really good or really, really bad. And I just don't know what's real and what's not. But this was a productive little chat. Moving on, guess who we see? Check. Who we met on Married to Medicine. Looks like Phaedra is still playing around with him. I'm gonna need Phaedra to get a grip, okay? Because I saw someone say on social media yesterday that the Phaedra who first came on the show would have hated this new Phaedra. And I can see that. And not to say that it's wrong to change, but it's a bit much. With that being said, though, they did look super cute together. They kissed. She asked him if he wants to be her date to Charles's event. And it was cute seeing them together. They're not serious or anything, obviously, but, it's a little scene. The next scene is at Britt's house. Her mom has officially moved into the house, which is good. She says they've become very, very close. Britt has her sisters over. As we learned earlier this season, that those relationships with the sisters were a little bit strained, especially after their father's passing. But it was very nice to see that the sisters have come together and their husbands came and Britt's in-laws came. It was a full house. And I think it felt really good for Britt to see all her family reunited. Because, listen, when you're good with your family, it's great to be able to come together, eat, talk, laugh, play, just rejoice. And then Britt and Mike tell them all that they will be having a wedding ceremony soon, which they're all invited. And after that, they're going to get started on making a baby. So, yeah, it was a very nice scene, seeing that little problem sort of come to a resolution. Okay, let's get to the drama part of this episode. So the night of Angela's gala has arrived. Everybody's wearing their best outfits. The fundraising goal tonight is $50,000. Angela is upstairs getting ready, and she gets a call from Drew. So, Drew and Angela actually met up with Marcus, this guy that was at Kelli's event, prancing up and down, jumping up and down, talking about he saw Charles cheating on her. They met up with him on camera. We saw little clips of it. They didn't show an actual scene, but they showed little flashbacks of Angela confronting him. She said she's asking him questions. He's answering them, but she then says, "You're lying because your timeline doesn't make sense, this and that." Once she really pressed him on it, she asks him, "Just tell me who it was. Who set you up to do this?" And he wrote it down. We don't know yet who it is, but Angela does know. And she also has invited him. She has told Drew to bring him. But going to the actual event, Porsha looked great. They all did. They sit, they're eating dinner, and then once the event actually begins, Angela and Charles take the stage. They talk about their foundation and working as well with other foundations like Meals on Wheels Atlanta, a little bit about what they do, and they start to highlight some of these other foundations that also help with things like domestic violence. So those things were showcased, which was great. What I thought was really, really beautiful was that Angela asks Porsha to go up to the stage. It was really wonderful because Porsha got to honor Londi because Londi also worked very hard in some of these charities. So that was a really nice moment. They also had singers. This was a very well put together gala. Porsha, there was a moment where she got very emotional because of everything that's going on, and the girls took her to the side to comfort her, rally around her. Well, all of them did it, which I think is so nice that they're able to do that. This is the second time we've seen that this season. All right, so After that, Drew is getting texts, and she's looking at the text, looking around because she's communicating with this guy to see if he's almost here. Angela is also like staying on it, so she gathers all of them. Once they're all sitting, she says, thank you for coming. As you all know, at Kelly's event, I was ambushed by a guy. She says, Kelli, I did think it was very odd that this happened at your event. Then Porsha's like, well, are you questioning Kelli? And then Angela says, my husband said that this didn't add up, and I agree, so we are trying to figure out who invited him. Angela then turns to look at Britt and says, I thought it might have been you because we haven't had the best relationship, so I thought about maybe you had invited him or sent him. And Britt's like, no, I would absolutely not. Like, I'm also married. I would never do that to anybody. And by the way, we're moving in a pretty positive direction. When Britt said that, though, Kelli starts laughing out of nowhere, and she does, like, a little gesture or signal to Shamea's arm, which is, it's weird. Okay, so Angela says, Drew and I have been trying to figure out who's at the bottom of it, and everybody's like, who is it? Like, just tell us. And Drew's like, well, he's here. So she then goes to get him. When the guy comes in, though, Charles sees him and he approaches him quick, and he's like, no, we're not doing this. You gotta go. Get him the F out of here. And Angela's like, no, let him finish. And, Charles says, no, he disrespected you. He needs to go. Charles was getting ready to beat him up if he didn't leave. Like, he was warning him, like, get out. But Angela is screaming at her husband, saying, let him go. You will see. Marcus apologizes to Charles, and Charles is like, listen, all I'm going to say to you is you're lucky. Charles just leaves. He don't want any parts of this. So Angela brings him back to the ladies, and Angela says to Marcus, who sent you? Tell them who sent you. Marcus says, there's someone in this circle who's not happy with Angela. And Angela's like, just say it. Marcus then turns and says, Phaedra. So then here go Angela saying, Phaedra, how would you do some ish like this? And Marcus says, Phaedra is the godfather of Atlanta. Okay, you guys. I will say this. Phaedra's reaction told me 100% she didn't do it. Marcus says, you met me at the mall, and you handed me an envelope. And Phaedra's like, what envelope? And he says, the one with the information. What? He then says they have a connection. This person's name is Jumba. Listen, this all sounds so ridiculous that everybody's just laughing. All the ladies are laughing because what is this? He then gets up and leaves. Marcus, that is. He just leaves. When he leaves, Phaedra says to Angela, why would I have any beef with you, Angela? And then Angela says, well, because I have a ring and you don't. You want a marriage. I know the games you play. I actually trusted you and I liked you. And Phaedra says, well, I thought I liked you too, but you're accusing me of something with no truth. Angela then says, as it said in The Godfather, be wary of someone who brings you information. The reason she's saying this is because apparently Phaedra was the one who told Angela what this individual's name was. So at this point, Phaedra, she takes out her weapons and she says, you are researching, but you're failing to tell us that you're in foreclosure. And Angela's like, that is not tea. I will tell anyone about that myself. But then she begins to say some things about, your old friendships and your new ones, you're the same. You keep doing the same thing. But then she started to sound a little weird because she says, do you let your kids visit their father? You are a horrible person. Now, what the hell does that have to do with anything, Angela? You're sounding ridiculous and insane. We then start to see the finale flashcards of, what's everybody up to. All of a sudden, though, Kelli and Shamea still find a way to make this about Britt. Shamea says, well, somebody brought up my kid the other day. And then Britt's like, no, I didn't. I didn't bring up your kid. It was something else. Shamea then says, I need to walk away because I want to beat her ass. So Britt asks, is that a threat? And Shamea says, you're the one that threatens people with guns, you whore. And so Britt's like, I'm not doing this. So she walks away. But as Britt is walking away, both Shamea and Kelli are screaming at her like vultures. It was giving crazy behavior. So everyone's leaving at this point. Porsha did tell Cynthia, that she shouldn't have said anything to Shamia about what Britt said, because this obviously just caused chaos, which Cynthia does apologizes for overstepping. But then wait, we then see something 5 months later. Porsha finally films in her house. It's Christmas time. She films with her mom to talk about Simon, who's now been deported, by the way, but at least she's moving on. And that was the end of the episode. Okay, listen up, you guys. This was a lot. So, we have known about this for a while now. It had already been leaked that Phaedra was supposed to be the one that was behind this. And I don't put it past Phaedra. Could she do this? Absolutely, she could. I would never say she wouldn't. Do I think she did it, though? No, I don't think so. And matter of fact, I think Angela lost a lot of her footing with the way she handled this situation. So this guy is already an unreliable person, according to you, because he's falsely claiming that your husband has been cheating on you. But then you want to use that same source to be the one to say who set him up. So, like, why should we believe that but not believe what he said in the first place? You get what I mean? So, it's like an unreliable witness, so to say. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then when the way she was going at Phaedra, saying, like, do you let your kids see their father? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Listen, Porsha even said in her confessional that Angela might have set this whole thing up, which I'm not saying she did, but I wouldn't be surprised. What do I think happened? I think that if we're being truthful, I think this was a production thing. How did Phaedra get involved in it? I don't know. But does anyone realistically think that Phaedra came back to film for 10 days and she was going to do some low down, underhanded stuff like this, given how she left the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Like, she would have to be so dumb to do that. So no, I don't believe Phaedra did this. And then I gotta say this, as far as Britt, I'm Team Britt on this, and I am so disappointed in her for quitting. If I would have known her personally, I would have said, girl, just stick it out. Because guess what? These past 4 or 5 episodes, ever since the Grenada trip, the fans have been on her side. Not to say they love her, not to say they're her fans, but when it comes to the way Britt and Kelli have been coming at Britt, the way that Shamia and Kelli have been coming at Britt, people are Team Britt because Shamia and Kelli are full of BS. So I think she should have just toughened up and taken it, because I think a lot of people would have been on her side as opposed to Shamia and Kelli, who are doing the most. I mean, they were blaming her of every damn thing. They might as well have blamed her for killing all JFK and MLK. I mean, it was out of this world. But you guys, please let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. I want to hear what you guys think. If you have a different opinion, that's totally fine. I want to hear it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. You'll have a great one. Bye.